Most EV owners never unlock their vehicle's true potential. They're leaving 30 to 40% of their range on the table without realizing it. Last week, a friend with the exact same EV as mine called me in a panic. His range displayed showed 180 miles on a full charge. Mine showed 285 miles. Same car, same battery size, same year. The difference isn't the vehicle. It's 8 specific habits that transform how far you can actually drive on a single charge. My EV consistently delivers 92% of its EPA-rated range in real-world conditions. Industry average, about 65%. I'll show you exactly how I do it and why most EV owners are unknowingly destroying their range every single day. My daily EV routine that maximizes range. Range anxiety isn't about battery size. It's about understanding that every kilowatt hour matters, and most of that energy management happens before you even start driving. The vast majority of EV owners treat their vehicle like a smartphone. Plug it in, charge to 100%, and wonder why range drops faster than expected. My routine is completely different. Every evening, I precondition my cabin while plugged in. I set my charge limit to 80% and plan my departure time. These 3 actions alone add 15 to 25 miles of usable range compared to the typical charge-and-go approach. Preconditioning uses wall power instead of battery power. Smart charging protects long-term battery health while maximizing today's range. Efficient HVAC eliminates the single biggest energy drain after speed. Preconditioning, the secret most EV owners ignore. Cold batteries are range killers. A lithium-ion battery operating at 20 degrees Fahrenheit delivers roughly 40% less capacity than the same battery at 70 degrees. Your EV knows this, which is why it uses battery power to warm itself during winter driving. That warming process can consume 2 to 4 kilowatts continuously. Energy that should be moving your vehicle forward. 30 minutes before departure, I activate preconditioning through my phone app. The car heats the battery pack using electricity from my home charger, not from the battery itself. Simultaneously, the cabin warms to 72 degrees. When I unplug and drive away, both the battery and interior are at optimal temperature without consuming a single watt from my usable range. This single habit adds 10 to 20% more real-world range during cold weather. On my EV, with a 75 kilowatt per hour battery, that's an additional 25 to 45 miles per charge. Summer brings the opposite problem. Hot batteries also suffer reduced performance. I precondition before hot weather drives too, cooling the cabin and battery while plugged in. The air conditioning system draws 3 to 5 kilowatts when working hard. Running it for 15 minutes on wall power saves enough energy for an extra 10 to 15 miles of range. My optimal speed strategy, the real range killer. Speed is the absolute biggest range destroyer in electric vehicles, and the relationship is exponential, not linear. At 55 miles per hour, my EV consumes roughly 250 watt-hours per mile. At 75 miles per hour, consumption jumps to 380 watt-hours per mile, a 52% increase for just 20 miles per hour more speed. Physics doesn't negotiate. Aerodynamic drag increases with the square of velocity. Double your speed, and you quadruple the air resistance your vehicle must overcome. Highway driving at 70 to 80 miles per hour is where range estimates collapse, and drivers experience the dreaded range anxiety. My strategy is ruthlessly simple. On highway drives, I set cruise control to 62 miles per hour and stay in the right lane. That cruise control discipline adds 60 to 80 miles of range on long trips compared to driving at 75 miles per hour. Arriving 15 minutes later while avoiding an unplanned charging stop is an obvious trade. I've tested this extensively. Same route, same conditions, different speeds. At 55 miles per hour, my 280-mile rated EV delivers 295 miles of actual range. At 75 miles per hour, I'm down to 215 miles. An 80-mile difference simply from speed choice. One-pedal driving complements this strategy perfectly. I enable maximum regenerative braking and rarely touch the brake pedal. The car slows itself smoothly when I lift the accelerator, recapturing energy that would otherwise convert to heat. This regenerative system recovers 15 to 25% of the energy used during acceleration. How I use HVAC without destroying my range. Climate control is the second largest energy consumer in EVs after speed. Running cabin heat at maximum can draw 5 to 6 kilowatts continuously. For perspective, that's enough power to drive 15 to 18 miles, power you're burning just to stay warm. My winter strategy follows a strict hierarchy. First, I activate the heated steering wheel. It draws only 50 watts but makes a huge psychological difference. Second, I turn on heated seats. Seat heaters use 50 to 100 watts each, dramatically less than cabin heat. These two features alone keep us comfortable in 40-degree weather without touching the main HVAC system. Only after the heated steering wheel and seats are running do I engage cabin heat. I set it to 65 degrees maximum. The reduced temperature cuts HVAC consumption by 40 to 50% compared to a 72-degree setting. This strategy reduces total climate control power from 5 kilowatts down to roughly 1.2 kilowatts. The difference translates to an additional 25 to 35 miles of range on cold winter days. Summer requires different tactics. I precondition the cabin before departure while plugged in, then set the AC to recirculate mode and maintain 75 degrees instead of 68 degrees. The warmer setting reduces compressor load significantly. I also use the sunshade religiously and crack windows slightly when safe, saving 2 to 3 kilowatts during hot weather driving. Before you continue, hit that subscribe button and click like if you're discovering strategies that could save you from range anxiety and unnecessary charging stops. Tire pressure and rolling resistance, the most ignored factor. Tire pressure is the cheapest and most overlooked range upgrade available. Underinflated tires by just 3 psi increase rolling resistance enough to cost 5 to 8% of your total range. On a 250-mile capable EV, that's 12 to 20 miles lost simply from slightly soft tires. I check tire pressure every 2 weeks without exception. EVs are significantly heavier than comparable gas vehicles due to battery weight, which means they're more sensitive to pressure variations. I maintain my tires at the high end of the manufacturer's recommended range, typically 42 psi cold versus the minimum of 38 psi. That 4 psi difference consistently delivers 3 to 4% better efficiency. Low rolling resistance tires makes an enormous difference. When I replace my factory tires at 40,000 miles, I especially chose EV-optimized tires designed for low rolling resistance. My average consumption dropped from 285 watt-hours per mile to 265 watt-hours per mile, a 7% efficiency gain. Those tires cost $140 per set than standard tires, but they've added roughly 6,000 miles of range over their lifespan. How I use regenerative braking for maximum efficiency. Regenerative braking is free energy recovery, yet most EV drivers use it inefficiently or disable it entirely. I run maximum regenerative braking at all times and have developed a driving style that rarely requires the friction brakes. This approach recovers 20 to 30% of the energy used during acceleration. The technique is simple but requires practice. I look far ahead and anticipate every stop well in advance. When approaching a red light from half a mile away, I lift off the accelerator completely and let regenerative braking slow the vehicle naturally. The car smoothly decelerates while converting kinetic energy back into battery charge. One-pedal driving becomes intuitive after about a week of practice. Highway off-ramps, traffic slowdowns, and residential neighborhoods all become opportunities to harvest energy instead of waste it. I've made entire city trips where the brake pedal was touched fewer than 5 times. There's strategy to coasting versus regenerating. At highway speeds above 55 miles per hour on flat roads, sometimes coasting in neutral regeneration mode is more efficient than active regeneration. I toggle between maximum and neutral regeneration based on terrain and speed, optimizing for conditions. My charging strategy for long battery life and more range. Battery health directly impacts range. A degraded battery with 85% capacity means your 300-mile EV now delivers only 255 miles. Protecting battery longevity isn't about the future. It's about maximizing range today and every day forward. My charging rules are non-negotiable. Daily charge limit, 80%. I only charge to 100 before road trips longer than 20 miles, which happens maybe 6 times per year. Keeping the battery between 20 and 80% for regular use dramatically reduces degradation and maintains peak performance. I never fast charge below 20% unless absolutely necessary. Fast charging a deeply depleted battery generates excessive heat and accelerates capacity loss. For daily driving, I exclusively use level 2 AC charging at home. Slower charging generates minimal heat and maintains ideal battery chemistry. My EV has 52,000 miles and shows less than 3% capacity degradation, exceptional compared to the industry average of 5 to 7% at this mileage. How I plan routes to use less energy. Route planning transforms EV efficiency from acceptable to exceptional. I avoid routes with steep elevation gains whenever possible. Climbing 2,000 feet uses roughly 6 to 8 kilowatt hours of energy that I'll never fully recover on the descent. Choosing a longer but flatter route often uses less total energy despite more miles traveled. I actively avoid high-speed highways when alternatives exist. A route using 55 miles per hour roads or 70 miles beats a 60-mile interstate route at 75 miles per hour for total energy consumption. Strong headwinds are silent range killers. Wind resistance at 65 miles per hour and a 20 mile per hour headwind equals the resistance of driving 85 miles per hour in calm conditions. I check weather forecasts and sometimes delay departure to avoid severe winds. I plan charging stops strategically. Rather than arriving at a charger with 5% battery remaining, I target 15 to 20% arrival. This allows flexibility for detours while reducing battery stress. Eco mode actually makes a huge difference. Eco mode isn't placebo. It fundamentally changes how the vehicle manages power delivery, climate control, and regeneration. I run eco mode 90% of the time and switch to normal only when I need immediate acceleration for highway merging or passing. In eco mode, accelerator response softens significantly. This forced smoothness prevents the instinctive lead foot driving that destroys range. Eco mode also moderates HVAC power consumption automatically. Instead of allowing 6 kilowatts for heating, it caps power at 3 kilowatts and achieves target temperature more gradually. I've tested this extensively. Same 40-mile daily commute, different drive modes. Eco mode, 4.2 miles per kilowatt hour. Normal mode, 3.6 miles per kilowatt hour. That difference means my 75 kilowatt per hour battery delivers 315 miles in eco versus 270 miles in normal, 45 extra miles for a settings toggle. Range is mostly about driver habits. Electric vehicles don't have range problems. Drivers have efficiency problems. Every EV I've tested delivers 85 to 95% of its EPA rating when driven with these strategies. Most owners report 60 to 70% of EPA ratings because they drive like the battery is infinite. The 8 habits I shared add 25 to 30% more real-world range compared to typical EV driving. Preconditioning adds 15 miles. Speed discipline adds 30 miles. HVAC management adds 20 miles. Proper tire pressure adds 10 miles. These gains compound into dramatically extended range. None of this requires sacrifice. I'm not driving 40 miles per hour or sitting in a freezing cabin. I'm driving efficiently at responsible speeds while remaining comfortable. The difference between 62 miles per hour and 75 miles per hour isn't comfort or safety, it's ego. Range anxiety disappears when you understand that battery capacity doesn't matter as much as how you use it. Drive smart, plan ahead, precondition everything. Your EV will reward you with range that exceeds expectations instead of falling short. Which strategy surprised you most? Drop a comment on which habit you'll implement first, and subscribe for more EV knowledge that transforms how you drive. Your electric vehicle has far more potential than you realize. Now you know exactly how to unlock it.